Ever notice how a 23-year-old can wear $300 Jordans into work and then completely ignore a $300 bonus? See, that's not laziness, that's language. Sneakers are a culture code, a cheat code. It's like a silent badge that says, this is who I am, this is what I value, and this is where I belong. So if your team isn't clicking, performing, or aligning, it might not be about work ethic. It might be about identity. And today, we're breaking down how to build belonging in the age of personal brand. I'm Chris Hunsicker, and this is the Dealership War Room. Leadership fire, 7 minutes, no fluff, just fuel. So why are we talking about sneakers and personal brands? Because this is an absolute key to managing Gen Z employees. There was a recent Harvard Business Review article that was literally entitled, "What Your Clothes Say About You at Work." Why? Because the way we dress, how we show up, is a nonverbal cue of both how we want to be perceived and how we behave. You see, the clothes that you wear, the shoes that you wear, this is not just about comfort or fashion, but this is also a signal about competence, creativity, and confidence. So it is critically important to learn how to read the room, but in an entirely different manner. I was coaching at GSM last month. Sharp guy, busy store, Northern California. And after a sales rally, he pulls me aside and he says, "Chris, I got to tell you, man, these Gen Z kids, they just don't care. I offer bonuses, they ghost. I set goals, they barely even react." And I looked at him, I asked him one question. I want to ask you the same question. Do they feel like they belong here? He paused. He looked out over his sales floor, and suddenly he realized something. His top guy, Dylan, showed up every day in his Yeezys. I mean, just proud, confident, wearing like armor. And he was strong, powerful, charismatic, confident. His bottom guy, same age, same tools, shows up every day, quiet, dripping with anxiety, almost like he's trying to hide. The difference isn't talent, it's identity. That's what we talked about last week in managing Gen Zs. These employees, they don't want to be told who they need to be. They want coaching to help them become who they believe they already are. And that's the leverage point. That's how you get in and start to actually move, motivate, and inspire your Gen Z employees. And that, my friend, is why sneaker culture is a leadership insight, not a fashion statement. When someone wears Jordans, they're saying, this is who I am. I bring style, presence, edge. When someone wears beat up Vans, they're saying, I'm chill. I'm not trying to impress. I just do my own thing. You don't have to buy the shoes, but you have got to read them because culture is visual, it's visceral, it's encoded in the way that people show up. So how do you leverage this? So that you can lead with more impact, more influence, and more margin. I want you to start by using what I call the Triple C culture tool. Number one is clarity. Define the standards, results, attitudes, and expectations because everyone plays by the same scoreboard. Number two, context. Underscore what drives each person. Style isn't the issue. Lack of connection is. Number three, coaching. Don't force conformity. Coach identity. Help them bring their full self to the game, but make sure they show up to play. That's your role as a leader. Dylan didn't need a dress code. He needed a runway. He was ready to go. And the other kid, he didn't need a script. He needed a reason to speak up. And both of them needed a leader who understood what their sneakers were trying to say. Let me say something that might kind of offend the old school crew. You don't need to understand your team's style. You need to understand what it means. Sneaker culture isn't about shoes. It's about expression. It's about showing up with style, story, and status. Gen Zs are not just working for a paycheck. They're working for a platform where they feel seen, heard, and understood. When they walk in and they're wearing their sneakers, you know exactly what they mean. And they get it. They are seen. They are heard. They are understood. So what does that mean for you as a leader? It means your mission statement isn't some plaque on the wall. It's the energy on your floor. It's the language that your team uses even when they don't say a word. Because you, my friend, have learned how to read the room that is happening today and not the one from 1995. When your people feel like they can bring their full self to work, they perform. But when they feel invisible, they disappear. Your job is to create a culture of cohesion without destroying individuality. That means clear shared goals, Flex on the how, tighten on the why. Respect personal style, but demand professional effort. You see, you don't need uniforms, you need unity. Today's challenge, it's simple. I just want you to walk the floor and watch, observe. What are your people saying without speaking? Their energy, their style, their posture. And then I want you to ask yourself this question. Do they feel like they belong here? Because if they don't, they will never fully buy in. Now, I want you to put all those observations into the framework that I gave you on those 3 C's. Remember we talked about clarity, context, and coaching. We'll start with clarity. Clarity is the anchor for behaviors. You got to get very specific and clear. What are the mindsets? What are the behaviors? What are the metrics? What are the expectations? So that you remove all ambiguity. Clarity creates performance and ambiguity destroys it. But this comes back to identity connecting to the clarity. So I don't care whether you wear Vans or whether you wear Yeezys, but all of us follow up in 15 minutes. Does that make sense? I preserve the individuality, but I have absolute clarity on the expectations and the performance that we need to have. But I connect relationship, create meaning, and then we define performance. Now that you've created the clarity, next we need to create the context, why it matters to them. Because remember, just say, do it because I told you isn't going to work. You have to create a context of meaning that matters to them, that fits the things that they know. You need to use your one-on-one times, your lot walks to find out who are they, what do they do, what's their side hustle, what do they enjoy, what's really fun, and start finding ways to individually, person by person, name by name, each one of them, every person on your team has a name and they have a story. Find out what their story is and then start connecting the clarity that you're creating around expectations and performance to the meaning and the why that actually matters to them. So now we've got clarity, we've got context. Now we're going to do identity-based coaching. Remember, we're not going to yell at them and tell them everything we did wrong. We're going to coach their identity. This is the fastest, simplest way to move people's behavior. Our whole focus right here, how do we support identity without lowering our standards? The science on this is so clear that when people act from who they believe they are instead of what they think they're supposed to do, then performance becomes far more consistent and far more self-driven. Don't just correct behavior, connect it to identity. Say, hey, you're someone who really values showing up strong. What happened here? See how I'm connecting the behavior to the identity? This may be the most important thing I'm going to say in the entire podcast. Encourage individuality about how you get to the results, but absolute demand of producing the results, real results. Your job is to be a translator, not a tyrant. You need to translate the language of identity into the language of performance. And now you're motivating Gen Z employees and producing results like nobody else in the business. Remember, clarity creates alignment, context builds belonging, and coaching drives growth through identity. When all 3 of these C's are working together, when you're running this framework, see, now your culture has both structure and soul. And your team is not just compliant, they're committed, they're creative, and they're consistent. You want to build a high-performance team in sales, service, parts, anywhere in your dealership? Then build a culture where people don't have to check their identity at the door. If anything in this podcast hit you, struck you, please share it. Let's go from 250 to 500. And today, start observing, learn how to read the room, and understand what sneaker culture has to do with motivation in a dealership. And I will see you tomorrow in the Dealership War Room.